Gaming NBS episode 224, recorded Wednesday, January 8th?
9th.
2019. Welcome to Gaming and Bus. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Glad to have you all here.
Holy bejeepers.
Yeah, this is as good as my voice has sounded in a few days. And I think I got back and work was hell, so I've only slept like 4 hours max a night for like the past 3-4 nights. I'm getting old for this, man. Getting old for this. But of course, back from means EverCon. So, so EverCon 2019 went off without a hitch. All fires were small fires, as I told Alex Cameron when he asked me how it went. I said, small fires I could easily stamp out. And I don't know if some folks may or may not notice it, but Mr. Sean Kelly graced me with his presence. I was actually very surprised to get a text that says, "How the fuck do you get in this building, Mr. Yellow Shirt?" Because I got a yellow con shirt. So people know I'm in charge.
Brett walked right up through the doors. I was the only one in the parking lot. He walked I see him pacing across. Like, go up to the door. It's locked. It says the hours on it. EverCon entrance. And I'm like, what the hell?
And I'm tapping, and he calls me over, and I go up and I tap on the door. Ding, ding. Hey, read the goddamn sign. Ding, ding, ding. But
that's not the way to treat.
So what I did was
red carpet. I was like, come on, man.
When I opened the door, there's another person standing out there who got there early. And he sees us. So I sees me open the door, expectantly picks up his gear, said, "I'm sorry, he's a special guest." And I let Sean in, and I shut the door and locked it.
Yeah, he was he's a character. Right. What I told that
he was a little irked at me, but I don't care.
What I told that young man was, I'll get us to this place. Whoops. Sorry, buddy.
You're like that guy at the thing, man, just stick with me.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, what happened?
Yeah, where you been, man?
Where you been?
We were going through the rope. Where were you? I thought you were right behind us.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Yeah, he was the guy where the big bouncer was like, not you.
No, not you.
And I go in there thinking he's right behind me.
Yeah, poor kid.
Yeah.
He cried a lot, which is fine.
Right. Yep, that's the breaks.
But, I had, let's see, Corey and Dave Wynn and their other brother. I'm not going to even name the names. Derek Pennycuff, I'll have to name that one because I bumped into him a whole bunch. There were, Rob and Julie came up. They don't even listen to us. I just see them at every freaking con.
Yeah.
Kev came down from Minnesota. There was two other Gaming BS listeners, and I am...
Robert Edith?
Was it Robert? Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Robert was there. Oh, my God.
Barry, my buddy Barry.
Yeah, Barry was there.
Barry played Chainmail with me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I played my first game of Chainmail. I believe Jeff was the guy who ran it, who will be at GaryCon. If you get a chance to play in Jeff's game, Chainmail game, it's fun. It's
you said he threw a mean game. That was good.
Yeah, it was good. And the way he did Chainmail was Lord of the Rings issue. There's the bad versus the good.
Very nice.
We beat Rob and Julie. So there's an objective. Our objective was to get one of two catapults to the other side of the board.
Okay.
Off the other side of the board. Their objective was to destroy both catapults.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not big miniatures. I mean, I don't play Warhammer every day.
Yeah, no. You think you can be a tactical genius? You play some of those actual tactical no shit war games like that. It gets pretty tricky.
Well, they were really kicking our ass badly, and then they couldn't roll worth of shit.
Yeah, Rob had a smile like, we got this.
Yeah.
What by Rob? Julie, how's it going? He looked at me and goes, I'm going to smoke your partner, man.
Yeah.
He's fucking dead. Then I see him later. Rob, how'd it go? Got your beer, man. How's it going?
Yeah.
They cheated.
Yeah, we were triumphant. And so we played Chainmail for, I don't know, at least maybe a couple hours. And then I sat in on Chad Knight's second edition AD&D, you're going to get a kick out of this, Brett. So I sit right next to Chad during the game with Rob and Julie and a few others that I don't know. And I know Chad. We met. And Chad shows me his second edition player's handbook back inside cover.
Yeah.
And it's got my name printed on it in my handwriting.
He has your used second edition.
And so the initial shock was, holy shit, that's my second edition player's handbook. Because that's like, it's not him printing my name because I know that was my handwriting.
Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I forgot I sold him the second edition player's handbook and DMG, like literally like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was right after we started the podcast.
Yeah, he's a fan. He's got EMP Productions. He does a bunch of different podcasts with another friend of his. So yeah,
I totally spaced it, and I was like, "Oh my god,
what did you get that?"
Yeah, would you stole my? How did you get? And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Brett was had some stuff for sale, and I'm like, "Yeah, here." And I think at that time I had never met Chad. I think it was literally here. One of your like Brett's like, one of my buddies wants the second edition. I'm like, fine, I'll sell mine.
Yep.
So I hadn't met Chad at that time, and Brett's like, here's the money. I'm like, here you go. And he took it up to Wausau and gave it to Chad. I eventually met him, but that was just so weird. Like, I completely spaced it. I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about it. But I haven't played second edition in, like forever.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was good. It was it was, a con game. So you could, all right, you're in a group, you're part of the night. He ran an actual part of a module, and I can't remember.
Did you know what Corey Wynn did for his second edition D&D game? We Used to Be Heroes is his game. You come in as old retiree heroes, and the bad thing that you made a deal with or you just put away all those years ago is back, and you've got to come out. When you roll failures, he's got a chart that he's made. The chart is back goes out. Senile, forgets the, chronic, rheumatitis, something. It's fucking awesome.
Geriatric D&D characters.
Yes, coming out of time. He's mentioned it to us ages back. We talked about playing older characters and stuff, and I remember him talking about it to us, I think through a random encounter. But I'll tell you one of the things I'm really proud of from an EverCon perspective, excuse me, there's a number of different ways to count how many people come in, how many people don't. One of the best ways to go about it is, I was talking to Cosmo Joe from 66 because he was there and he had a really good time. And he's a wacky, fun dude. And he knows Rob and Julie and those guys. So anyway, he was there. I think he made a pretty decent profit because my congoers mobbed the vendor hall on Saturday. It was a little crazy. But anyhow.
I bought a set of dice from him, and I forgot. I bought them for my wife, and they're still sitting in my bag. I'm glad you reminded me.
You should take care of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was talking to him, and he's like, how do you guys count? You count like turnstile clicks? He said, because that's just bullshit. Gen Con tries to do that. And I said, no, we try to look at individual badges. Even if you come back, we get the occasional, hey, I bought Saturday. I want to also buy Sunday. Hey, I bought Friday. I liked it so much I'll come back Saturday. So you get some of that. But generally speaking, we had over 900 people there. Yeah. If we take out, averages and so forth, which is pretty damn good. That's right. We're in the sweet spot. We lost some after we moved out of the school. You get the people who, it's not $7 a day. I don't want to go to that anymore. Which, it's $35 for a weekend if you pre-reg. Come on, people. It's a cheap ass con, right? Oh, and all the games except for the higher end, quote unquote, tournaments with prizes. All other games are free. We don't charge for tickets for games because our congoers revolted at that.
Oh. So you gotta know your market.
You totally do. And now they're coming out of the freaking woodwork. The people in dealer hall got mobbed, or we had even more asses in seats playing games, which is just great to see. A lot of different. The one dude, Scott, he comes up from the Abbotsford area, which is, if people out there don't know where the hell that is, Wisconsin. Anyway, he's a ways away from Wausau, Wisconsin. And he showed up. I said, how many this time? He goes, well, I only got 15 with me. There's another truck coming behind me, though. I got about 10 more. Because they have all these kids that go to high school and stuff, and there's nothing else in that area, and they all like gaming and have a good time. My favorite story, though, is this one. I got to tell this. So, bumping this guy. He looks like a biker. And he's got the hat, dark sunglasses. He comes in. He's got the long white beard. He sees me. Hey, man, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? I bump into him. His name's Ron. You can see it in his badge. He comes up, he's just smiling the whole con. I don't see him game or do anything. He's just smiling. He's following his kid around and smiling. His kid's doing something. He walks up and says, man, I got to tell you, this is fucking awesome. I'm like, well, thanks, Ron. That's pretty cool. Introduces himself. He's an underwater welder.
Oh, that is something else.
So apparently he travels a lot because, in Lake Wisconsin.
Heard of those guys.
Lake Wisconsin, there's not a lot of oil derricks and things that need welding.
Right.
So he travels a ton. His son is high-functioning autistic. And he said they've been trying to get him away from some of the electronic computer games and stuff that he's just very obsessed with. They're trying to find other ways for him to be creative and fit in. And he told me, he looked around, he said, I can see a lot of kids here and even adults that probably don't feel like they fit in a lot of other places because of the stuff they like. He said, but everybody here gets along and everything here is cool. He said, there's nothing more fun than watching my little guy have a hell of a good time. This is fucking awesome. They bought as a hope, kind of almost as a whim that this would be interesting to him. They bought him EverCon weekend pass for Christmas.
Ah.
So it was his Christmas present. And he said, we come in, we're going to do all this other stuff. And he said, I tell my boy, we'll come back on Saturday. Yeah, okay, Dad, we'll come back Saturday. He said, so we end up sleeping in a little bit. And I get up, he's a little groggy. We're like, all right, I'll let him sleep. He said, I go back to bed in the hotel. I wake up and I see him sitting at the foot of my bed. You up, Dad? Because if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. He said, as soon as I pop my eyes, he starts slipping his shoes on and getting his coat. So it was just awesome. I saw him all 3 days of the con. The guy was great. I met his son, just a wonderful kid. And it was just so neat to see it. Because on the flip side, you'll see parents sometimes at events like this where the mom or the dad does not give a shit. They're not having fun and they're pissy about the whole thing.
Yep.
We have had parents come to cons, to EverCon, and just sit in a corner and look mad that their kid is wasting their time. And Ron was that just awesome dad who's like, you know what? I don't game. I like hunting and fishing. So he and I talked hunting and fishing for a while. He's like, oh, that's cool. You could do all of that stuff. Yeah, hell yeah, you can. So we're just talking. And next thing I know, I told him, I said, if you're bored, man, go sit over by my buddy Zave and JR. They've got the paint and take.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check that out. He cruises over there Sunday. He paints like 2 minis up. It's just having fun. It was awesome. That was seeing BSers and Rob and Julie and people I know that show up and help support my convention is just amazing. It's great. But to see that one little piece of that story was just so cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah, the moments. Evan Cass was there too.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Another one.
EHC.
Yeah.
Brothers wins.
Yep. Let's see. My wife did a really cool booth.
Your wife was there? Yeah,
my wife was there. She did a really cool gaming and BS booth because we didn't think Sean was going to bother to come. And she had some Avalon Kickstarter stuff out, and we gave away free water and buttons and stuff from Gaming and BS. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Ended up with like no buttons left. They were snagged.
Yeah, cool.
It was all good, man.
Sweet.
What? You're looking at me like you're bored.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right. The only other thing I have is the Avalon Kickstarter is going by the time this drops. There is, as of today, January 9th, there's still 7 days to go. We wanted $3,000 to get this thing off the ground and make it happen. We have $9,831 as I look at it, and we have hit all the original stretch goals. And the guys at Encoded and I added another one at 10,200, a district map of Avalon, where we would create a district map of the city, which all backers would receive a PDF of. So,
look at that, Brett. I mean, some people say you can't make money in the RPG industry. You don't do it to make money. You do it for the love and for the hobby. But look at this. I mean, he's going to profit like $6,000 off of this thing.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
He said sarcastically as hell.
$6,000, man. I mean, easy money, ladies and gentlemen. Easy money.
Because what I'm going to do is I plan to stiff all the artists and layout guy and the editors. Yeah, fuck those guys.
Well, I thought that's what the $3,000 was for. The rest is all gravy.
Mm-hmm. That's how that works.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. I've got just enough I can buy Sean out and get him off this goddamn.
Wow,
thing.
now
get myself a real partner.
All the patron proceeds all this time and the donations that everybody has been gracious enough has been going in my pocket. And now Brett's just going to buy me out.
Well, that's the only. I mean, I've tried to get him on embezzlement charges. That just hasn't stuck yet.
Because I got attorneys.
I know.
Because I use the money towards the attorneys.
I know. Everything's just tied up in court.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But now he's got money and power. I'm really in trouble now.
Yeah. So heave to and prepare to be boarded, motherfucker.
Right. Yeah. Jeez.
Anyway, so the Kickstarter is going really, really well, way above my wildest dreams. As I've said before, it's very impressive and humbling. And it's just really, really cool. I can't wait to get the darn book out to people and get it in their hands. So it's pretty cool. Check it out. Kickstarter, The Streets of Avalon. Take a look.
And you would know about things like the Streets of Avalon Kickstarter if you signed up for our email list, which you can go to gamingandbs.com. It's on the front page. Just ask for your first name and email. If you do sign up on our website to our email list, you will be entered to win a set of dice from awesomedice.com. Thanks, Brandon, for supplying those. We'll have our next drawing at the end of January for our next winner. Also, they are awesome enough to provide a promo code. Somebody asked about it. Hey, can I get a promo code for a discount if I order something? So Brandon has also supplied us with promo code gaming and BS at checkout. You get 15% off your order of $10 or more. So
that's capital G as in gaming and capital B, capital S.
Yeah, I don't know if it's case sensitive.
I don't know if it is or not. But check out the show notes. You can see that stuff, man.
We can't put it in the show notes. He doesn't want to put it in the show notes.
Oh,
no, he doesn't want crawlers grabbing it and all that other crap.
Brandon is a wise man.
Well, and it also keeps track of
actual traffic.
Somebody's actually heard it from our show and used it, so he can say, oh, people are using this code. They must be listening to Gaming MBS, and it's worth me giving free dice away. I don't know.
Okay. So gaming and BS, all one word.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool, man. Shall we on and on?
Random encounter. Yep.
You ready?
I'm ready, man.
And you start. I talk too much already.
Hammer Rock. Oh, what? What'd you say?
I already talked too much.
Oh,
I got to all that crap about Evercon that probably nobody cared about but me.
Come on, man. All right.
It was really cool.
Greg Palachek comments on Detect Evil on our website. Regarding Detect Evil, because in Pathfinder it is blocked by a thin layer of lead, our GM claims it eventually causes cancer, treating it as radiation.
Radiation spewing paladins.
Home rules.
I love it.
He also tends to like to use an overabundance of unholy blight, which discourages any players from playing good. Oh. Plus, if there is an abundance of evil in the area, it causes the PC or paladin using it to feel pain. Because of the GM's "the world is a dark load of crap" mindset.
In real life.
So if you're playing with an angsty game master,
the world is dark and all is dark. I'm sorry, are you good? Smack! How about now?
The whole world sucks. And so when you detect evil, you feel pain. Sorry.
Yeah, the treating detect evil as radiation. I've never heard that. Have you heard anything like that before?
No, I don't think I have, but now
you want to use it.
Kind of jotting this down, actually.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of kooky, but I like it. All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Yes, thank you, Greg. Joe T. emailed us, hey guys, I'm relatively new to listening to your podcast, even though I've attended GameholeCon every year and have gamed with you guys. I'm 30, have been playing tabletop RPGs for about 20 years or so. Started D&D 3, then to 3.5 and Pathfinder, and of course plenty of other one-offs and offshoots throughout the years, especially at the cons, just playing whatever. Anyway, my question is related to getting into DM/GMing. A group of friends I know are talking of trying to get into role-playing and have asked if anyone wants to play and to help them play. I said, sure, but I'd let them know that someone was going to need to GM, and this person would need to have quite a bit of experience with the systems and terminology and such. We haven't really discussed it, but I'm guessing if I were to join, they may ask me to GM. I never have. My normal group usually runs games by one guy, maybe another, but I just haven't needed to. I wasn't sure if I would even be a good GM. But I wouldn't really know until I run a game or two. Would love to help these guys out. We all know a GM can either make or break a game, and especially for newbies, this is even more important. So, no GM experience, new gaming group, tabletop RPGs. It's just the whole topic kind of idea. Man, have we talked about this before? Have we talked about this?
Like a new game master?
Yeah, I mean, other than thoughts, advice, other than, as he says, other than read the DM book for game system, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think in the last 200 or some episodes we've mentioned. I mean, maybe we need to rehash it again. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe. In the short term, my advice is this: if they have never played before, you pick a game system that you know really well as a player. I mean, if you played it often enough, you know the rules well enough. You pick a very simple adventure and you run it, and they will not know, nor will they care, that you are not the thrilling, amazing game master that one of your other friends may be who has 20 plus years experience doing it. They're new. They're new to it, and you are new to it as well. You can tell them, hey, I know the game system pretty well. I'll be willing to give this a shot. Let's do this together. You've got to, if you want to do it, go for it. And I know you'll be nervous because I know I sure would be, but there's honestly nothing really to fear. It's not that bad. The main piece is you want to pick an adventure or one of your own design, or one that you write, and keep it small. Keep it very, very simple. Don't try to go beyond, hey, we're here to, get the goblins out of the forest. We're here to save the blacksmith's son who was kidnapped, or something along those lines. Don't go crazy. Think of something very simple, very easy that everybody can get their hands on, and you can do this, man. It's not that hard. Sean?
So, Joe, what I would do, because I'm
going to stop you right now, Sean. Just, Joe, don't do this. Whatever he's saying, don't do this. I'm kidding. Keep going.
I'm going to mute Brett.
Oh.
And then he won't, and that'll be that. All right. I would say I agree with Brett. Run something you're familiar with that you feel comfortable with. Maybe it's a game you know by heart. Maybe it isn't. But regardless, it's got to be something you're comfortable with. And then as far as running it, I personally think that starting out would be just get a module, buy one, an adventure. So if it's Pathfinder, they have some thin modules that are not 96 pages like the adventure path. I mean, you can just buy a Paizo adventure levels 1 through 4 or whatever, read it, and then just run them through that. Like, you've got the narration, you got the narrative, you got the stat blocks. They won't know the difference. Or if you want to be a little bit more freeform like Brett, I mean, I've mentioned it before, Sly Flourish's Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. There's really basic tips in there about, have 4 encounters planned and just write them down on a note card. With those encounters, have these characteristics. Make 2 or 3 locations. Write those down, and then just kind of go with the flow. Give them a mission.
If you like watching, if you want to watch a video about somebody's approach or whatever, I do like Matt Colville. I'm a fan. If you go to his YouTube channel, Matt Colville, and you go out there, the first videos he did an intro running the game number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. He makes a dungeon. Like, oh, here it is. Here's the goblins. Here's a trap. Here's a thing.
Yeah.
And it's there. You can grab it and he will explain to you, hey, this is why I'm putting this here. This is why this is there. Sometimes that might be a good way to look. I will put a note in the show notes, a little linky doodle out there, and let you take a peek into what he's up to. But I think that's very helpful for some people.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of people that will tell you which way to go, and it just depends on your comfort level and your time, frankly. But you'll do fine.
Absolutely.
Dosh gone it. People that listen to this that haven't run a game and are I got something. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, Brett.
Go for it, man.
So I am listening. Where's my my audio book is on the phone that Brett is looking at me from. Rejection Proof. That's what it's called. It's I like the audiobooks, but Rejection Proof is something I got turned on. I was listening to another podcast, and the individual that puts it on does do some coaching and consulting and whatever. But he said, hey, I read this book. It's a good book. But Rejection Proof is about this guy who, the short of it, ends up going through what he wants to do is 100 days of rejection.
100 days of rejection.
100 days of rejection. And
look him in the eye every day and tell him he sucks.
No. And he picks things to do that he will expect to get rejected for.
I will go play football. I've never played football before. Let's try that.
So the prologue starts out with him gonna be walking up to somebody's door, ringing the doorbell, dressed in shorts, t-shirt, and soccer cleats, with a soccer ball in his hand to say, "Hey, hi, I was just wondering if I could go into your backyard and play soccer."
That seems foolish.
In Texas, no less.
You're probably going to get shot.
Right, that's what he said. He actually says that. If you do that in Texas during like a Dallas game, right? Like Dallas Cowboys are on TV.
Ding dong. Who the hell is that? You son of a bitch.
So what he does is, there's a whole kind of story obviously behind why he does this, but some of the examples he does, I mean, he will try to give people apples. And he videotaped himself and did a blog about it, and then he eventually wrote a book about it. But
apart from being quirky, why is he doing this?
Well, one is because he wants to find out. So there are people that rank rejection and
public speaking.
Well, right, more rejection than anything to be like the number one fear that they have over crazy things like
death. People
death.
People have said that type of stuff.
Yeah, like they will rank higher, public speaking lower than rejection, death lower than rejection. So he wants to understand why, and then in doing so, he gets different reactions, and then he wonders like, well, why do I get one reaction if I ask it this way, and I get a different reaction if I ask it that way? My point of this whole thing is that you'll be fine. Like, you're probably fear of rejection, but there's things that come out of it that aren't always negative. Like, people will come up to you after you run a game that you're afraid to do, and they'll say, "That was a great game."
So my daughter Alana ran her first con game. She's 10.
Yeah.
She ran at EverCon.
Was she afraid of rejection?
She was shaking and she was very nervous and cried 10 minutes beforehand.
Oh, shit. Poor girl.
I said, "You okay?" And she's like, "Daddy, what if they hate it? What if everybody thinks I'm stupid?" I said, "You're fine. You're fine. You're fine." And I walked through the plan with her. I said, it was her own little game system she made. It's about stuffed dogs, these little dogs protecting their owners from nightmares. So they're chosen by the pack leader, and everybody gets a little stuffed dog. And then other stuffed animals come out that represent dreams, and they have to question them and so on to see if it's a legitimate dream or a nightmare that they have to battle. If it turns out to be a nightmare, she pulls the cute little stuffed animal off, and thwap, down goes the main monster with the big Nyarlathotep stuffed animal that my son AJ has. Everybody had fun. It was just for kids. They all had a blast, and everybody came up and told her, "Oh, what a good job you did." She was terrified, absolutely terrified. And this isn't like saying, "Hey, my 10-year-old daughter can do it, you can do it." But she was scared, and then when she was done, I said, "Did you like it?" "Yeah, I saw some stuff I could have done better. I've got some neat ideas that I want to do next." Totally legitimate. Joe's going to run this game, and when Joe says it's a group of friends, I read that, Joe, and I'm like, oh, these are people you're calling them friends. My assumption is you're friendly with them. Y'all get along. There is, excuse me, when you play with your other gaming group buddies, those men and women, my assumption is, hey, if something goes a little bit wrong, they talk a little bit to the side. The game takes a while. If you map out a module that has 3 rooms and 4 encounters, and they don't get past room 2 because they're too busy shooting the shit, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It means they're having fun hanging out. Right? And it's an initial foray into a thing for all of them. You happen to be the most experienced person there. Don't be afraid when you forget a roll, when you have to wing a little bit of something or whatever. It's fine. You'll be totally cool, dude. You got this.
The thing is when you are worried, you're usually the person that's not a bad game master. It's the folks that are...
Oh, the arrogant sons of guns?
The arrogant ones that think that they're the best game masters ever. Not always, because there's some that are really good and they know it and they can back it up. But there are some that are just, they're not self-aware. They think they're the greatest. They sit down, they splooge their story without any options to the players, and they run their story.
Yeah.
Right? Not an adventure, not giving players any type of options and seeing what happens. Because, ask yourself what makes a really, sometimes it's like, what makes a good game master? Oh, it's this and it's that, and saying yes and giving the players some latitude and agency and things of that nature. And then but sometimes it's sitting back and going, what is a real shitty game master? What makes them a shitty game master?
Yeah, let's not do those things.
Just don't do those things. Like, I don't know, argue with the players until you get your way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's maybe stating a point, maybe there's reading a rule, but eventually you're going to have to put it to rest so you can kind of move on.
Yep.
Somebody may say, well, a shitty game master is somebody that runs a game and doesn't know any of the rules. Well, I don't know about that because Brett doesn't know any of the rules.
Yeah, I know. Well,
and tell him he's a shitty game master.
Aw, rejection. I'm scared now.
Well,
I'm kidding.
You just got to buck up, little camper.
I'm going to come to your house and play soccer.
Right. Anyways, it's a good book. I'll put a link in the show notes. I mean, I don't know. But, dude, seriously, run it. Yeah. You got this, man. Trust me. If Brett can run and people think he's a good game master, I mean, come on.
Yeah, it can't be that hard.
The guy's like a self-published author. It took him a while. He's got more cred than I do now, which isn't saying much.
It's not even published yet, really. People are just throwing money at me hoping I will do it. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to do it. I'm totally going to do it. Anyway,
there's different styles. There's different styles.
Totally.
So don't even think like, well, I don't do it as cool or awesome as that person.
The thing is Sean runs like Sean. Brett runs like Brett. Sneezak runs like Sneezak. Phil runs like Phil.
Right.
All these people run the way they run.
Yep.
Joe, if you start running, man, you're going to be like, oh, I run like Joe. I'm Joe T, and this is how I run.
Yeah.
That's
fast and loose or
you'll change over time, and that's totally cool too. But these are friends, which is a great way to start. You've got people who are interested. You don't have to sell them on it. They're already talking to you saying, hey, I'd like to try this. And they're going to sit down with you at the helm. You're going to try it. Mistakes will be made. Fun will be had. And I would bet, dollars to donuts, somebody's going to say, hey, can we do this again?
Now I'm going to say this, and I've said it before, and somebody actually took me literally, but I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty certain as I sit here, when you do that, Joe, and you run a game for these guys, nobody is going to punch you in the face.
Yeah, nothing horribly bad will happen.
No.
The worst thing that can happen is people go, it was okay.
Right.
Who cares? Did you have fun hanging out? Yeah, it's just not for me. I've tried all sorts of stuff that wasn't for me, but I did it with my buddies, my friends, the men and women I like hanging out with. Hey, that makes it cool.
Me, I just don't talk to them anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
I mean, you just have a choice. They don't appreciate your art. Hey, you take it to a different gallery, buddy.
Yeah, go play soccer in somebody else's yard.
That's right. God blast it all. All right, let's move on. Am I next?
Yes.
Sparrow of Hawk Sparrow comments on 222, which is getting info from your player. Questions. Number 1, where are you from? How did you begin gaming? And all that good stuff. Get to know them. I mean, hey, excuse me. We are building a relationship here, right? Goal is to build understanding of each other, which builds trust and helps me know how to create the story so players have the most fun. Number 2, describe the coolest sessions and most fun you've had at the table in a session. Again, this helps me plan for future sessions with the answer to this question in mind. Number 3, if you can't attend a particular week, how do you prefer we handle your character? And number 4, what campaigns have you been in or run recently?
Those are good questions.
Right to the point. Works for Hawk Sparrow. Go ahead, you beg, borrow, and steal those if you'd like.
A point that Hawk makes there is, we are building relationships, right? So that way you understand each other. And I mean, you don't have to, these men and women, when you're gaming with them, I mean, they don't have to become your best bosom companion all the time.
I was in a gaming relationship. It didn't work out.
It didn't work out. All of my best friends are guys I game with. Men and women I've gamed with are my best friends. But some people, you don't have to be that with everybody, but I think it's important. We are building relationships with people and understanding where they're from and how they're coming about stuff. These questions will help you get there. I like that, Hawk. Good job, man. All right. Let me
So I think Edwin's is old. Like, I don't know why. I'm pretty sure we didn't tackle this, and somewhere it got lost in the shuffle, and I pulled it out.
No, I think we read this.
Did we? I don't think so. No.
Feels like it.
Hold on a second. Hold on. If I can find the OSR game or the OSR episode. There it is.
OSR was 218. We would have read this on like 219.
Oh, that's true. Well, no, this might have been one he put out there ahead of time.
I don't know, man.
Because he even says, I hope for organized play. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. Random encounter. No Edwin on 218. I could edit all this out too, which I never usually do. Seafaring would have been next.
He's not in there.
He's not in there. Okay. And then 220.
You know what? Screw it. It's Edwin. I'm reading it.
I'm pretty sure we never read it. Seriously, I don't see Edwin in those 3 episodes.
All right, Edwin, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. All right, here we go.
And if you have heard, like, if you got like just a glimpse of deja vu, you're in the Matrix. All right, go
That's
ahead.
fun. Edwin says, once again attempting to tap
Yeah.
So that's the Matrix right there. That was the glitch.
We should do a whole episode just like that.
Yeah. Once again, attempting to tackle a topic without a definition. Good luck. I think it's important to realize that each of us has a different definition in view of the OSR, depending on where we sit and what we like. It also seems that many people's ideas have shifted over the few years that it's been a term. Currently, I hear most of it used to talk about D&D-esque games, particularly ones that are similar to editions before and after 4th. However, the term has encompassed other old and not necessarily fantasy games and their offspring. Some claim that it's about style of play, and in my experience, each person defines the style of play that OSR embodies as a style that they enjoy. It's a good time to discuss avoiding gatekeeping and promoting inclusivity. I hope this goes well for you. I think it did.
He commented about it in advance.
He did.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He then goes on to talk about, excuse me, I hope for organized play you'll discuss the many things out there that are not Pathfinder Society and Adventures League. We did try, caught a couple. I hear about lots of little permanent worlds out there, including Shadowrun and RuneQuest. We hit Shadowrun, missed RuneQuest, each with its own organized play. I think I mentioned a while ago that a friend and I started a local organized play group. We built a world and conducted weekly adventures for whomever showed up. This grew until most weeks there are 4 or 5 active tables, each with their own adventures in our worlds. All PCs level up at the same time, whether or not the players played, and the world changed based on the actions of all the parties. Permanent magic items were returned to the town council at the end of each adventure, so they could be used whether or not a certain PC was around. And we developed we developed some other rules to facilitate this style of play. My friend and I passed the torch over a year ago, and the person to whom we passed it has just passed it on again. Tables are level 11 or so, and a new crop of adventurers come in for low play and are up to level 3 or 4, I think. Following them on Facebook, I've seen all sorts of interesting dramas and traumas, but the world and the gaming oh my God, the world and the gaming seems to be carrying on. All I have to say about Seafaring Adventures is ARG! That should be a fun one.
Thanks, Edwin. Yeah. Not sure if there's any, if it warrants any type of comment.
I like the idea of a homebrew organized play. I think Edwin has mentioned that to us before, either through feedback here or in person at GameholeCon. But that's pretty damn cool. That's still going. I like that, man.
Yeah, it's more micro.
It is.
Yeah.
I like it. It's kind of a neat idea.
It is kind of neat.
All right, let's go.
Let's get into the main topic. All right, Brett.
Well, one of our listeners
Blake Ryan.
came up and said, "Hey,
Hey, from down under.
he won't."
I get a couple topics that I want you to talk about.
Oh my God, we just lost Blake Ryan.
Blake loves it, man. He and me are brothers from another mother.
On a different continent.
Yeah. I think if I were born in a different country, it'd be Australia.
I could see that.
Yeah.
You're part kangaroo. I get it.
Hey, man. Marsupials rule.
All right. He says, going back was the topic. Going back, meaning, would you ever reboot one of your own campaign stories, but revise with lessons learned? Why or why not? Would you change a system or setting or neither? And so, Sean, is your first instinct like?
It's gonna be really quick, Brett.
Your first instinct is?
I've never. This is interesting because up until literally a week ago, my firm answer would be no. And it still kind of is.
Well, what happened a week ago?
Well, I'm contemplating running Star Wars again for some patrons of ours. And what would that look like? And I thought, well, maybe I could. And I didn't want to divulge this because they're going to hear it and I'm going to be like, I didn't want them to tell. I didn't want to
But
tell
you're thinking about pulling out an old campaign possibly and putting them into it in some way.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Neat.
now I wouldn't go to the same exact one. Like I'm not taking the same players back to the same campaign.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's. See, Blake doesn't specify that.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point because I have gone back to a campaign with the players at the 20th.
The same players that played it in it before.
Yes, the 20th anniversary of my home gaming group. We got together, had a big party, and I ran Vampire again, Vampire the
20
Masquerade.
years, man.
And that was a while ago.
Some old farts.
That was a while ago, too.
Oh.
Anyway, so we get together.
You guys remember can you even retain any of that stuff?
Yeah, it's about 10:15. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's like past your bedtime recording this thing.
Sorry, what's going on? Anyway, we pulled
Mama,
out.
where are my slippers?
Everybody had characters. That, I've got this character. I want to pull this guy out. So people were back, and some were not. Some wanted different characters and so on. But we played, and it was in the same world. It was okay.
It was okay. Huh?
We had it was fun. We had a good time, but it was like the last gasp for Vampire for my group. It was like, we can't go back to that again. That was a thing that was done. It was done, and now it's done. So yeah, if we ever play Vampire again, it has to be something totally different. We can't do that one again. Because we spent all of our time reminiscing about the cool shit, and the current story just was crap. It was lackluster, and
didn't age well.
No, it had not aged well.
Yeah.
That was my recollection of it.
Yeah, it's like watching the D&D cartoon. That was really awesome when I was, I think I was actually older than I should have been watching that cartoon. I think
but it was D&D on TV. It was cool.
But it was D&D on TV, which you kind of tolerated the stupid unicorn and whatever.
What things I have? So that was like a campaign / story with the same group, essentially same characters, and it was like meh. It felt like a MASH reunion. You're like, it just didn't do much. Like after MASH, This wasn't that cool. Yeah, Suicide is painless. I get it. Anyway, I have the other thing when we talk about campaigns or stories at con games. I have started running the same con game with the same story at con games because I know it really well.
Now, do you run the same adventure or the story, but it's different, like different chapters?
It's the same adventure.
So it is the same adventure.
Yeah, if I run Iron Shoes, it's Iron Shoes. If I run the Blacksmith's Folly, it's the Blacksmith's Folly. It's the same adventure.
All right.
Which could be classified as not a campaign, but he says campaign/stories.
Was that yours?
Yeah, it's mine. I made those.
I know, Brett, you're hoity-toity, big author, publisher. I get it. You don't have to cop an attitude and go like, hey, man.
I'm just saying.
Right, of course. Jeez, man.
Someday you could be me.
I'm keeping you. Here's my job, ladies and gentlemen, is to keep
humble.
Brett grounded. And, I don't want him to get into the ego that is Jason Hobbs.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So I got to keep him
I didn't get where you were going, and now I do. I understand it, and I will take it. Thank you.
Jason Hobbs, I mean, one can dream.
I don't know if I can. I don't think I can dream that big. Anyway.
What's up, Hobbs?
So I have also, when I've run other campaigns, I have pulled out the same campaign starters and went, oh, this will work again. I have done that in the past, especially with a D&D game I've run for people I've never played for before. Like, oh, I've used this starter or I've used this component of the story.
What do you mean starter? What's starter mean? I don't understand.
So in intro and in introductory to the campaign, saying, hey, here's what'll happen. You're in the Grand Duchy of Jeff in the world of Greyhawk, and this will happen. Oh, sure, we'll start you off here in an inn. There'll be a mistaken identity. There'll be a brawl, and you'll be embroiled in this type of politics. And yeah, I still have these names, these places, these things. It's essentially the same campaign story, or damn near module, really, if you look at it. And it would be like, yeah, I will run Storm King's Thunder or something like that. I have pulled those things out and run them multiple times.
But now with the same group.
Not with the same group.
Right.
Because I usually have a tendency to say, oh, it would feel played out. Oh, I know what that is already.
Well, that would be going back to Joe and saying that would be a crappy game master.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to run through this adventure, and it's the same one over and over. You just change the names.
That you just did. Yeah, dude, this is
like
keep on the borderlands, but it's keep on the upper lands or the behind lands. What is going on?
The lower lands.
The lower lands, the upper lands, the downlands, the swamplands.
Yeah.
But doing it with the same group is the thing that stops me. And then when I pulled the campaign, the storyline out and kind of revisit it for my vampire one, I went, yes, I never done it before, and I don't ever feel like I would need to try that again. If I were to pull it back out with another group, I would look at it when we say lessons, when he asked about like lessons learned, what would you do? I would not mind running the same Call of Cthulhu story that I have done before. What I would do is I would say, hey, the lesson I learned was the players will do anything they freaking want to. Be ready to jump. Throw that piece out, have to introduce something new. I would basically take the lessons I've learned just as a game master over the years and not expect my next batch of players to behave in the same way. They're not on the same rails. They're not in the same mode. They don't have the same off-road vehicles, whatever. Some people want to ice skate uphill. Some people want to go downhill. They want to do whatever the hell they want to do. That would be the biggest component to it. I don't mind reusing material. I used to try ages back to always be fresh and new and never reuse material because I thought it was stupid and weak. And now I'm like, that's just dumb. If I had a really good idea and a group of 13 people love the hell out of it, I bet you I could get a whole nother group of 5 or 6 people love the hell out of it too. So I don't have any problem reusing it. But a complete reboot with same players and so on is felt played out.
Yeah, I agree. And I, in that regard, have no desire to make that happen again. Really. I think it's run its course. Now, having said that, I mean, if I were to, wax nostalgia, and I wanted to pull out first edition AD&D and go back to the group that I've gamed with as long as on and off as Brett has, and said, hey, we're going to start with Keep on the Borderlands. We're going to run it old school, and we're going to keep going. And then the next time it's going to be Tomb of the Lizard King, and then it's going to be Ravenloft, and then it's going to be that progression. they've all gone through those, but have they remembered every? I think part of that component would be kind of fun because I think you would get the, oh yeah, now I remember this part.
So there's a time abyss almost that happens between now and then on that one.
Yes.
And I think that isn't. I played my vampire campaign for 15 years.
Oh my God. That's a lot of goth. That's a lot of black mascara.
Yeah, I ran out of it, therefore I can't run the game.
Right.
And
right.
Maybelline does not make my kind anymore. Anyway, point is,
It's not the same shade.
it's not Revlon no longer makes it in Raven Black. Not the same Raven Black.
I bet you go on eBay, you can find that crap.
Yeah.
Like
I tell you what.
$150.
Yeah, you find it reasonably priced, and I'll buy it.
Hey,
anyway,
you have to update to that. What's that store in the mall? What is it? What you know the store, Brett?
What are you talking
Smells
about?
like patent leather. Hot Topic.
Hot Topic.
There it is. Hot
Hot
Topic.
Topic.
Brett knows it.
Oh, I know it. Anyway, I think
we're just bad people.
Having run that for 15 years, it's very fresh in everybody's mind. My group has been together for 25 years. Over half of that time was spent in that campaign world. It's like yesterday to a group that meets every month. It's like yesterday. If I were to go back and grab the guys I went to high school with, my buddy Dave Schneider had said, "Hey, Susan on Facebook had posted a number of old pictures of me in my gaming groups. They're hilariously bad.
Oh my God, I have that.
Me with long hair.
I had it on. She posted that picture, and I went, "Oh my God!" And I tried to save it, and it wouldn't let me save it on the mobile.
It's because I'm a vampire. You can't save it on mobile.
Yeah, I took a screen cap of it, and I got that sucker.
Like me with long hair, the whole bit.
No, it's the one where you're like standing there with your arms folded.
Oh yeah, that's looking tough right there.
Yeah, Brett has no facial hair. It's scary. He doesn't even look like who he is now.
Yeah, there's the play where I was Dracula in a play, and I had long hair at that time.
I didn't think it was that long.
Oh, it was all down past my shoulders too.
No, not in that picture.
No, not in the one you're talking about. But after that, I grew my hair out. Anyway.
I got to go on there and get those and grab those before.
All right,
I can't.
Do what you gotta do.
Would you get pissed off if I put those out there?
I don't. Whatever. It's a part of who I used to be.
I was just curious. Well, some people get really perturbed about that crap.
I was like in my late teens, early 20s, whatever.
God, you guys got to see this. We have one of Brett on our website. That's when he was 2.
Yeah.
Right? With
I
the
shaved
tattoos
I
and the
shaved
beard.
Afterwards. I shaved afterwards.
Yeah. I can't remember who did that for us.
My Susan, my wife.
Did she put that up there like that?
She totally made that for you.
She photoshopped it? That's awesome.
Anyway, point is that if my buddy Dave Schneider and somebody and Schaefer and the guys I used to game with were saying, "Hey, we should play," like to your point, let's play Forgotten Realms First Edition. We had so much fun doing that. Now let's play second. Fine, let's play Second Edition. We sat down and Eric Schaefer pulled out some adventure he'd written or done in the past week. Oh my God, that's Tubrick Dilligan III and, the Ducal Proxy. And, oh my God, that's this guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, this is fun. All right. See you guys in another 10 years. I mean, if we were going to do it for fun and nostalgia, the time abyss between now and that point would be enough that I think it would be fun. As you described that to me, I'm like, yes, the men and women I gamed with, if I were to pull that out and if I could get them to show up, we would have a hell of a good time doing it. Spend a good chunk of the time reminiscing, but it'd still be fun. However, that said, rebooting my 15-year-long campaign, no. That one's dead. Dead as Dillinger, and that one's never coming back. I just don't see it happening.
With ours, and the one that I've ran long-term, which would have been Living Force, I really can't without literally, unless I continue the storyline outside of that, because obviously for those of you not in the know, Living Force took place up until episode 3. Episode 3.
Is that the one with the midichlorians?
Something like that. But it's essentially before Order 66. So literally the campaign was like, we can't release the last 3 modules until the movie comes out. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. And then it came out, and then we tried to get them, and it was like this big fiasco.
Oh, interesting.
But literally, there's a little bit of gaming mechanics behind it too.
But I think the desire to go back in time and revisit something with a group, like rebooting it with the same group or a reasonable facsimile of that group, would have to have it's going to have some nostalgia in it, and or possibly like, wow, that one failed galactically or had a thing. I want to redo it because I can do it better. If I was going to do that, I would recast it and say, hey, I tried to run a Middle-earth role-playing game, the Iron Crown edition, a couple years ago. I started a campaign, and it fizzled out because we decided we wanted to play D&D instead with my home group, a small subset of them. Like, okay, that's cool. It's fine. We'll come back to it. If we were to come back to it, what I would say is I want to start this one over because I think we could do it better. But that campaign lasted 3 sessions, 4 sessions. It was very small.
Yeah.
Very small number of sessions. So like, you know what? We shelved it and went, if we want to bring it back, if I ever want to bring that one back, I know a better way to do it. I've thought about that on my long ass drive to work. I got an hour drive. Once I'm like, if I did that again, how would I do it better? Oh yeah, I do it like this. It wouldn't, there'd be aspects of it. You're like, oh yeah, that castle's still there. Those orcs, the Witch King of Angmar and this thing. But that's it. I mean, it would be major components would be similar, but I would have rebuilt it to better utilize the pieces on my board, if you will. I think that's the only other way I would go about it. It would kind of be one of those things where anybody else who was involved with it previously be like, oh yeah, you used that bad guy's name before, but it's being done differently now. Yes. I would use bits and pieces, but it would not be a shot-for-shot remake type of thing.
He mentions change system or setting or neither. I mean, I don't know if the question would still be applicable if you decided to change the setting.
Well, if you run a game, if you run a Call of Cthulhu horror game and you decide to move it from that setting to a Star Wars game, but you want to keep similar components of it, it's very different.
It is very different. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I would even consider it a reboot at that point.
Yeah, I think it would be. It's not even a reboot at that point. It's a reskinning of the campaign. Like, hey, I had this really cool D&D campaign about your little dirt farmers worked their way all the way up, and they were kings. Well, you're now free traders Free Trader Beowulf from Traveler. You worked your way up from here, and shipping magnates, and you're just kicking ass in space, or it's a modern thing, and instead of doing the monster hunting in a fantasy world, you're doing it in Night's Black Agents, and it's taking it would be taking beats and components of a storyline that worked really well. Like, hey, after this, I had a really cool chase scene, or after this is a really good time to reveal the bad guy, because that worked really well in this other campaign. I steal liberally from stuff I've done in the past, but I don't think. That's just bits and pieces. That's not a complete campaign story being rebooted and just refit. Anybody, much like you were saying, like, hey, we're going to play Keep in the Borderlands and then Ravenloft or then Tomb of the Pharaoh or whatever, my assumption is you'd use the system and the setting that's meant for, because one of the reasons from that aspect to reboot it would be for that experience, or as close to the old experience as you could get, right?
Well, there's two angles, and I think you're splitting hairs whether you run it in first edition AD&D where they were actually meant. Obviously, Keep is not advanced, but regardless, it's the leap from that first edition AD&D and running those modules to 5e is not as great. I mean, you're not going, well, we're going to use RuneQuest to do it. Like, it's not. So in that regard, I think if I were to go back and run those modules, as long as I kept it in the spirit of a D&D or fantasy-based game and rule set, I don't think it would be that big a deal. I mean, even if I ran Labyrinth Lord, Swords and Wizardry, it's just not that. I'm not looking to use.
You would go from that to GURPS or something.
Correct.
Or that to, I'm going to run it in Savage Worlds.
Right. Because then I think it loses a little bit of the feel. Like, you can certainly do it. Nobody's telling you can't. But, I mean, the overarching experience as a whole is made of not only going through them again because they may bring back oh yeah, I remember this now, also going into the rules and the feel of how you're playing.
Okay.
Kind of as an overall all-encompassing kind of deal. I wouldn't want to go, well, let's use Genesis for this. Because then you're futzing around with like the Genesis dice. It's great. You can do it, but then it wouldn't be incorporating the full experience.
Yeah, so there's a feel you want for a reboot like that. You want a certain level of feel. And you're like, okay, look, I'm going to use Osric instead of this. I'm going to use Labyrinth Lord instead of... It'll work. It'll be good enough. It's close. The compatibility is close enough. It's in the same spectrum on the color wheel, if you will.
It's the same branch.
Yeah.
Right, of the tree, just down a few. But, he also mentions, change system neither. Have you, lessons learned?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I talk about when I look at my MERP campaign. I would say, well, I would do it again, but I would rebuild it and I would do it this other way. Or when I have reused a campaign for a different group, even a short component of a story like like at a con game, I do it and realize that, hey, last time nobody figured out what this clue was. This needs to be reworked. Last time I ran this storyline or this campaign for this Call of Cthulhu adventure, nobody encountered this thing. Why is that? It's a cool thing, a cool monster encounter, or they didn't find this clue, or they didn't talk to this NPC, or take this path that I'm like, oh man, I really wish they would have done that. Is there something I can do to put it back front and center, or to adjust things so that they would feel like that would be a good thing to do, because it's really fun and it's a good thing for them to deal with. I would be looking at it saying, how can I make this more fun? How can I enhance it so that the thing that my players told me, yeah, that was good. Boy, I really wish we would have found out more about X. How can I take that type of feedback and make it so that it's easy for the next time around? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I could totally see situations like that. I wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Those are pretty distinct examples, because you run into this wasn't explored that much. I wish it would have been.
Yeah.
How can I facilitate them garnering more interest in that path? Because I think there's something that they completely missed, which isn't uncommon, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to plan this. Great. They didn't bite on any of it. Awesome. So my 2 hours of planning is just right out the window. But you can always bring it back, make it more alluring. Hell, at that point, they may just say, we never explored that avenue before. We might as well do that this time.
That's very true. Yeah. You throw them at that module, and they're like, we died when we went down the left corridor. Let's go down the right corridor this time.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting question, because the nostalgia pull can be very strong. Like, hey, we should do that exact thing again. And I think that that's fun, but I caution people, because at least in my own experiences, if you go for a shot-for-shot remake type of thing, it just turns into it's not. I have not found it to be fulfilling. That would be my caution. I don't know if somebody else out there has done that level of a remake, and had really good luck with it. As I say, I've reused campaigns across different gaming groups, and it's worked out just fine, because the other gaming group has no idea what to expect, and they have no connection to the other gaming group. So the fact that it's the same material reused for them, nobody cares.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Cool. All right, man.
Yeah. Hope that answers your questions, Blake.
Yeah, and if we missed it, man, let us know. And if another listener out there, any of you folks may say, "Oh my God, no, I've done this and it's been very successful," or if you have a different take on it, which I know a lot of you folks out there listening to us do, if you got a different take on it, hit us with it, because there may well be aspects or nuances that we missed.
Yeah, there you go. Die roll. Not a lot this week. We didn't comb a lot. Brett was busy.
Yeah, I threw the link out there to the Matt Colville YouTube channel, just in case somebody's missed that. I really do think I've had my son watch it. He's like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." I do that. I do a lot of that because he's, actually fairly skilled, and so far as he's run a bunch of different games for friends, and he likes doing it. He ran a game at EverCon as well, and had a hell of a good time. But point is that sometimes I've learned this from teaching martial arts over the years. Is Sean and I could say, "You should try this. You should try this. You should try this," and you're like, "Oh, I don't know," and somebody else comes along and says, "Hey, here's the thing I think you would like." They're telling you essentially the same thing as Sean and I have been saying, but they're doing it in a different format or a different way, different phase of the moon or what have you, and it clicks. So I think it's worth it, which is one of the reasons I like collecting and reading game mastering advice articles and books and stuff, is because sometimes self-affirmation and sometimes like, oh, that's interesting. Never thought of that before. So it's just it's another way to kind of help boost your confidence and realize that it's not that hard and it will be good.
I'll put a link in the show notes for Rejection Proof. I don't know if you're interested. It's not gaming related, but I think it's just human related. So if you think it's worth checking out, I found it entertaining as well. So I'll put a link out there in die roll as well.
So I'm thinking of a T-shirt for this year, something that says it shows a kid dressed up as a wizard knocking on someone's front door. Says, "Can I play D&D in your basement?"
Yeah, and you have to find out what the answer is.
Yeah.
But that's the things he does. He asks like strangers to do, like, what do you do? One thing that I thought was interesting, like giving a stranger an apple. Like, here's an apple, and see, because apples is, it goes back to biblical, and it goes back to, trick or treat and
razor blades. And
yeah. And so he wants to see if anybody would be willing to take an apple from him.
That's the weirdest damn thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Giving money away. Here's $5. Like, who?
Who does that? Why are you doing that?
Taking pictures with people, strangers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways, what are we talking about next week, Brett?
Next week, I want to talk about chases. This is something Sean and I have chatted about a little bit here and there. So we'll talk about chases, different types, and we might even dip into some rules and whatnot. But
Blake brought that one up, that one too.
Was that a Blake one too? God damn.
We should just make Blake our
idea guy.
What is it? It's not producer. Who comes up with that?
I don't know.
Topic. I don't know.
Topic guy.
Writer.
Guru. Writer. I don't know. Sure.
Show writer. I don't know.
Somebody's got to do it. We don't do it well.
I work in Hollywood. All right. Well, this has been another episode of GBS. I'm
right.
Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This episode of Gaming and BS brought to you with the help from the following BSers: Hawk Sparrow, Andy Hall, Corey Wynn, Graham Meinert, Brian Kurtz, Larry Hout, Mark Tasaka, Pure Mongrel, CW Mellencamp, Chris Steele, Ron Bishop, Thomas Hook, Wayne Humphrey, Craig, Brandon Barnes, Laramie Wall, Dan LaValle, Jason Hobbs, Sky, Roger Braslett, John Hammersley, Old School DM, Perry Besor, Michael Dinos, Jim Fitzpatrick, Christopher Gray, Bruce Cunnington, John Coward, Corey Gonzalez, Eileen Barnes, Robert Nemeth, Matt Cyberlick, Chad Glayman, Finolf, Lord Tentacle, Corey Welch, Kyle Winter, Mirko Froelich, Joe Swick, Curtis Takahashi, Josh Wallace, Kevin Lovecraft, Andy Olson, and Tony Sugarloaf Baker. For ways to support the show, head over to gamingandbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers! This has been a Litterbox Studio production.